Joining BYU Sports Nation right now is Chris Schmidt of HailVarsity.com on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline. Chris, welcome back to BYU Sports Nation.
Guys, thanks for having me back. How are you?
We are fantastic. Let's start with a version of our Twitter question today. How much would Nebraska fans consider, if it turns out this way, a BYU win on Saturday as an upset?
I think it'd be considered a mild upset when you look at the folks over in Vegas. They have Nebraska as a favorite. It's a home game for Nebraska. It's a season opener. Historically speaking, it's been 29 years and counting since Nebraska's lost an opener. They don't lose openers. So if they were to drop one, it'd be an upset. And you look at the team coming in with BYU, you've proven you can go beat teams to start the year. It wouldn't be that surprising, but it'd still qualify as an upset.
What do fans expect and how the game plays out on Saturday?
It's up in the air. That's a great question because no one's completely sure how it's going to roll. Will Nebraska's offense be able to be efficient? Will they make some big plays? Will they hang on to the football defensively? Nebraska's defensive line is the strength. Can they hang 4 quarters against a good BYU offensive line? And then there's Taysom Hill. As great as he is, he's a big-time X factor and difference maker. Can you contain him? Can you keep him from making enough big plays to beat you? Those are all concerns. Those are all thoughts. And I think Nebraska fans want to see a physical game, a hard-fought game, and a clean football game to start the year and let the chips fall where they fall.
But would competitive be good enough? Does Nebraska need to win this first game, or is there going to be an uproar?
They need to win the first game, absolutely. Competitive is kind of taken for granted. They need to win. There's still the bar of 9 wins. There's still the bar of being in the conversation, at least in the Big Ten West. And then when it comes to defending home field in big-time opponents, Nebraska needs to get back and continue to be strong against high-profile opponents in Memorial Stadium. They got to play well, but the win needs to go along with that.
When you look at the pressure that Mike Riley feels, and he has embraced it, his staff has embraced it, they know what has been done, 9 wins or more over the last 7 years. How many wins does Mike Riley have to pick up in his first year with the turnover and with the transition state for this to be considered a successful season in Lincoln?
You know, success is different to the viewpoint, the eye of the beholder type thing, and success is going to be how you play, and do you play football at a high level. Wins come along with that. It's not melting down defensively. It's not turning the football over constantly. It's not folding in tight football games. When I mean by folding, it's unable to get momentum back and respond. You can have a successful year, 9 wins, high-profile wins. All those things need to happen for Nebraska. But if you're shy of that 9-win number, if you're at 8 wins, if you're at 7 wins, some fans just want a guy to represent the program in a classy manner. Coach Riley will do that. So they're happy with the change in that aspect. But you got to win. You got to win big games. And if you fall short of 9, how did you fall short of 9? Is it field goal? Is it touchdown? Is it 21 points at home in the fourth quarter? I mean, how bad were the losses? Were you outclassed? Were you sloppy? Or did you just get beat by a better football team?
And Chris, that's where that competitive words comes up, like you mentioned. If you do happen to lose, were you in that game? I look at Nebraska, and obviously it's game 1, so you look at last year as the indicator of what you think you might get this year. Do Nebraska fans expect this year's team to be as good as last year's teams, despite no Amir Abdullah, Kenny Bell, Randy Gregory, Zaire Anderson? Those are some big guys that are gone.
You just got to listed off some big-time contributors and some real greats for Nebraska. The expectation for Nebraska is, well, just kind of reload. You're Nebraska, so next guy up, the next all-conference guy, the next All-American, the next stud lineman, they should be in the works, and it'll be tough to replicate because of how special Amir Abdullah was. It'll be tough to replicate what you can do on the defensive side of the ball because you don't have a Randy Gregory and a Malik Collins. You still have Malik, but it's his show now on that defensive line. despite the losses of key personnel, the expectation and that one is to still be right in the thick of things and be challenging for a conference championship.
Chris Schmidt, the host of Hail Varsity Radio on ESPN in Lincoln, joining BYU Sports Nation right now. Chris, when you look at the Nebraska quarterback Tommy Armstrong, what is the status of him coming out of fall camp? Are the expectations higher? I know there's been some criticisms of his ability to throw the ball consistently. What is Tommy Armstrong right now?
Tommy's an improved quarterback, and it's been a work in progress since camp started. It was kind of up and down to the last couple of weeks of showing market improvement by Tommy Armstrong. That's been highlighted and underlined by Coach Langsdorff, by Coach Riley, and his accuracy has improved. He's gotten better throwing the ball. It's gotten from an inconsistent level to more of a consistent level, where towards the end of one of the scrimmages, I mean, the quarterbacks as a group, and this includes Tommy taking all of the first team reps, hitting around 60-62%. So he has shown the ability to kind of have the game slow down a bit and mesh well with Coach Langsdorff and what they're asking. Nebraska's, I think, done a great job of being selective in finding things Tommy's gotten comfortable with, and he'll be able to go execute. He'll need to be good downfield. That's always kind of been a strength of his, the deep ball. But from an intermediate standpoint, that looked to be more crisp, more consistent, and he's come around as a thrower. Is it still his fastball, so to speak? No, it's him running the football. But I think with play action, with being able to use his legs to roll out and then find guys from that hash to sideline, it's gotten much better.
Where do you think Taysom Hill affects the Nebraska defense the most?
Oh, wow. Everywhere. That's the big answer. But, I mean, just watching Taysom and knowing what he's been able to do and then doing some research on where he was pre-injury in the landscape of college football quarterbacks, the guy's amazing. From a running standpoint, you look at what he did in 2013 as a rusher and a thrower. You'll probably verify this. He's gotten better as a thrower. And just either the extension of plays or the assignment breaking he can cause is what's going to be the challenge. Because at the back end, you have the secondary that's got to stay with receivers. You have that dual threat ability with Hill to get out of the pocket if it breaks down. And then it's one-on-one time. Plus, he's huge, and he's fast, and he's hard to tackle. So he can stress Nebraska from a contained standpoint. He can stress Nebraska from a ground standpoint, and he can stress Nebraska with the play action and hitting some big plays downfield. I think all of those facets are going to be big concerns. It's a tall order. It's winning several battles against Hill, and it'll come down to some situational football, making a play on third down, making a play in the red zone defensively for Nebraska, maybe causing a turnover, I think.
Chris Schmidt of Hail Varsity Radio has covered Nebraska since 1998. We talked to Coach Riley yesterday. Obviously, very generous guy, one of the good guys in college football. He, without hesitation, said that he feels most secure and confident about his lines on this Nebraska team. You've already mentioned the defensive line, but what about the biggest weakness? Where is that for the Cornhusker football program in 2015?
Defensive line first, then offensive line?
Correct, in terms of strengths, but then the weakness. What is the weakness?
I think if you're going to look at a weakness for the lines of scrimmage for Nebraska, and the term weakness is kind of pointed, you don't know. There's some unknown there. I think the weakness from a line standpoint is, are you going to be able to get a pass rush from your defensive ends? That's a question mark for Nebraska. You have two talented defensive ends, Jack Gangwish and Greg McMullen. You have some guys behind them that haven't seen a lot of action. Both Gangwish and McMullen have started. Can they get after the quarterback? You feel pretty good about them setting the edge in the run game. Are they a pass rusher of the caliber of Randy Gregory? No. So can you get pressure on the quarterback off the edge, or are you going to be forced to blitz from the outside? That's the question mark, is pass rush for Nebraska off the edge from that defensive end spot.
BYU's excited about a pair of 6'5", 6'6" receivers that they feel are number one types, Mitch Matthews and then Nick Kurtz, who was a JC transfer heavily recruited by Texas Tech, among others. What's the cornerback and safety situation with Nebraska that will try to defend these guys?
You have some very talented corners for Nebraska. Joshua Kalu is a guy who's earned a black shirt. He has seen some time, 3 career starts at one of the corner spots. Daniel Davey is the other corner. He is pretty tall and lanky as well. So Nebraska has good height and size and length when it comes to trying to match up against your Twin Towers. They are excited about the opportunity to go one-on-one. From a safety standpoint, Byerson Cockrell is Nebraska's safety, and then you've probably heard of Nate Gary. Gary is a junior, a captain. He is just incredible when it comes to closing speed, when it comes to baiting quarterbacks, when it comes to ball hawking and interceptions, and then thundering down and making tackles in the box as well. Both Nebraska safeties with Nate Gary and Cockrell are very talented. Gary is all conference level. Davey doesn't get a lot of notoriety yet, but he made all 13 starts last year, and he's feeling extremely confident about his ability. He loves the challenge. So your back four altogether, athletic, lanky, talented, and they're good at tackling in space. That's been an emphasis by Coach Stewart, and it's led by Nate Gary.
Chris, how does one earn a black shirt?
That's a great question. It's a tradition that started with Bob Devaney and the top unit defense. If you do the right things being your leader, you're extremely focused and worthy on and off the field, and you're seen as number one at your position, number one at your group, you are awarded the black shirt. It's pretty sacred, and we are lucky enough to be in contact with Coach Charlie McBride, Nebraska's former defensive coordinator, who's the black shirt godfather. Every Monday to start game week is when traditionally he would hand out black shirts. He's been consulted on it. They kind of brought that back. It was up and down with the consistency of it from Coach Pelini in his era, but a black shirt it signifies you are the top unit of the Nebraska football defense. You're a part of a greater fraternity of players that have come before you, and you represent those before you, and you hold a standard up to those coming after you with that black shirt.
Fantastic stuff. Chris Schmidt of Hail Varsity Radio. Thanks, Chris, again for the time, and we'll look forward to a good game on Saturday.
Guys, take care. Enjoy your trip, and thanks for a few minutes.